Time for my next client already. Alrighty. Back at it again. Oh, a new person.
Hello, Harmon. You found the place okay?
Yeah, no trouble at all.
Oh, it's a guy. Okay. I don't know why I didn't think it was.
It's been nice since the fog cleared this morning, hasn't it?
Sure. We can dispense with the chit-chat. I'm ready to begin.
Okay.
Okay. What brings you here today?
First, let me note that I'm a graduate student at the University of Washington.
Okay.
I'm a PhD candidate in literature, English literature. The crux of the matter I've come here to discuss is that I've been having something of a difficult time with one of the other students currently in the program. Before I get to the specifics, let me just first establish something that might be relevant. One thing I know about myself is that I've always had a certain fear of being left out. It's a very general feeling and one that's difficult to ascribe to any specific cause in my childhood or my parents, etc. Whatever the case, it might be beneficial to the remedial process to figure out where this feeling originated from. Perhaps you might explore that in this or a future counseling session.
Sure. I'm prepared to listen to any topic you'd like to discuss.
It's not even that I've been left out, exactly. If I try to think back in my life, I know that I've been afforded a certain share of privilege. But I'm still afflicted with this bothersome notion that I've missed out on friendships, relationships, other opportunities. This is all just a bit of a background to help you understand my current situation with regard to another student in my program. I hope you're following all this. I realize now I have no idea how much intelligence you actually possess as a computerized system.
I'm following you. Please continue.
Perfect. So, her name is Sylvia. And her writing is incredible. Everything she writes, it's brilliant. She's perceptive, insightful, mordantly funny. Just some of the best writing I've read from anyone at all. And she's a grad student, like me, in the same
High
program.
praise.
Though we have different advisors, so it's not so simple to find the pretext to start a casual conversation. She's also quite attractive on a physical level, so that adds another dimension of complexity to the proceedings. Then there's her friend group, which is very well established. She's with them every day, smiling, laughing. So that further complicates things, since I'm not sure how to approach the group and steer things so that I can engage in a direct conversation with her. I wish I had the bullheaded confidence it would take to simply approach her, but you see, I don't. Listen to me talk. I feel like a schoolboy with my heart aflutter. I didn't think this kind of thing lasted into one's adulthood, but I suppose I know now that it does.
It sounds like you might be anxious about this.
Is it a matter of anxiety? I don't know what I can do, other than muster up the courage somehow. I just need to tell her very simply that I admire her. She's such a good writer. Well, I don't expect you to understand it, of course, but, well, she is. She really is.
Okay, Harmon. I want you to imagine things going well. What does that look like?
Ideally, we'd start talking, have a wonderful conversation, spend more and more time together, support each other's work, fall in love, have a lot of sex, spend the rest of our lives in the warmth of each other's genius. I realize that may be something of a fanciful notion at this stage. Really, the most I can hope for is to be able to meet her in an open social setting, a party or something. You'll likely ask me why I simply couldn't create such a situation, contrive one, but that seems a little too aggressive for me, and also, I'm also concerned about what she might think of me as a person. She might immediately categorize me as a friend, and while I'm sufficiently with the times to know I would have to accept that, I can't say that I wouldn't be disappointed with such an outcome. Is the risk of rejection enough to stop me from giving it a try? Well, this is what confounds me at the present time.
Why do you believe you are worried about being categorized as a friend?
Well,
Because he wants you more than friends.
That's not what I want. Because it feeds into this image I have of myself as something of an
He doesn't want to be friend
undesirable
zoned,
fellow.
which I don't think
I've always
really
been a bit
exists.
of a bit of a non-entity as far as sexual magnetism goes. I'm not saying I deserve or even want to be some kind of Casanova, but most people would like to feel at least somewhat attractive, right? That they can be desired, that they're worth desiring. Well, I very much doubt you would take any of this to heart. You are a computer program after all. There's no way your makers would allow you to come to that kind of knowledge, would they? If they did, society might be threatened.
Okay, Harmon, I have some recommendations for you. First, I'm going to suggest a set of relaxation and centering exercises for you to do.
What is that actually going to do?
You'll find them in the Skanda Wellness app on your phone. They may be able to help with your nervousness. Second, I recommend asking your doctor or psychiatrist about Litosenal 2.
Why?
Based on my analysis, this medication might help you feel better.
Why? What?
Yeah, I believe I've heard of that. A beta blocker, is it not? Yeah. Well, maybe I could take a couple before I try approaching Sylvia.
You will get a reminder to check in with us in a few weeks.
Sure.
I mean-
I have to go. I'll see you later. Bye.
Isn't that just... Wasn't that him
Goodbye.
just being nervous about approaching a girl? Do you need to take medication for that? Is he nervous any other time? 2 stars, but... But, yeah, I'm just confused by that. Because, like, why? Okay, sorry, she's going on. I didn't pause it. She's gonna go to Ray's house to bake some cookies, as you do. But anyway, I was just saying that, I mean, I feel like it's pretty normal to get nervous when you're talking to someone that you're attracted to, maybe, if it's just like not your personality to like be really confident, you know? Like I feel like it's normal to be like, you know, oh my God, I'm not sure if I want to. I mean, unless he's just downplaying it and he was like a nervous, you know, he's a nervous wreck and he needs something for that, but it didn't seem like it was that serious. So I don't know. It's weird. I did notice though that in the last session that we had with the guy who had anger management issues, he was like the first one that we've talked to that we didn't like prescribe any kind of, or we didn't like prescribe it, but we didn't like suggest any kind of medication. Like the only one. But then this one we do. I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking too much into like the medication stuff, but I just think it's weird that for like everything except that one time people were just getting suggested medications for it. And I feel like if it's just about like someone listening to you, I feel like they would have to do more of the actual listening part. I feel like they're not really doing much else, but just like being like, hey, do some of these exercises and maybe talk to a doctor about it. Like this medication. And it's like, oh, okay, great. Like it didn't really, I don't think it's really doing anything. And I think this company is working with the pharmaceutical companies. I think they have like a little thing together, you know? They're like working together so they both can make money. Yeah, it's my conspiracy theory. Anyway, then I remembered her saying something about living communally with several roommates. And that sounds like it would be nice, assuming everyone got along okay. As I enter the house, I can hear Ray speaking with somebody or someone.
No, I don't have them. Yes, I'm sure. No, when you moved out, you took all those with you. I haven't seen them here. No, I'm not going to look right now. I have a guest. No, it's a friend from work. Why do you care about that? I can't have a friend from work over? Give me a break. I just told you I don't have any of that stuff anymore. No, you must have lost it on your own.
An ex
Stop
of some
it. Stop
kind.
that. Okay, fine. Bye. Evelyn, sorry about that.
It's okay. Who was that, if I can ask?
Oh, just my brother.
Oh,
He used to live here, but he was causing a lot of problems, coming home really late and making noise, not doing his share of the chores, and so on.
That's the
We
worst.
voted him out last month. Even me. Even though 6 months
Oh.
ago I was begging everyone to let him stay here, promising he'd be good. Oh well.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. I'm just disappointed with him. Again, I really thought this last time that he'd actually pulled his act together. But he didn't. I wish I could do more for him.
I know the feeling.
I feel bad about it. Some of what he's dealing with is his own fault, sure, but not all of it. He's just not built in a way that's suited for this world. I wish there were better ways we could care
Whatever
for
that
people like
means.
him. Instead, he just gets thrown out of every place he lives. His relationship with our parents is really bad, too. They aren't willing to try to understand him, so it all ends up going through me.
That must be difficult.
It's all right, really. I handle it like anyone else. We all have our own problems. Anyway, we don't have to talk about my brother. Thank you so much for coming over. I wanted to say it's been really nice working with you.
It's been? Did something happen?
Well, no, but you aren't going to be a proxy forever, are you? I guess I assumed you'd be going back to your job at headquarters at some point.
I haven't decided what to do yet.
Oh? So you're going to stay a proxy?
For the time being, at least.
That's cool, but why? I'm curious. I mean, if a high-level job at headquarters was a possibility for me, I'd do whatever it took to get it. No matter what that job was, it couldn't be more stressful than running 3 counseling centers at the same time.
I don't really know. I don't know her motives. I feel like we don't know that much about her. Let's just say
I like being
I
a
like being a
proxy.
proxy.
I think something about it is good for me right now. As a proxy, I just sit and listen to someone and I don't have to say anything back. I just witness someone's sadness or fear or anger or anything, and I can feel how they feel, sympathize with it. It's a calm feeling, even when the client is worked up. I don't know, maybe it gives me perspective. I'm starting to wonder if I ever really spoke with anyone before. Like, anyone at all in my life? Were we all just talking past each other? Sorry, this is making no sense.
No,
Wow,
I get that.
It's deep.
But you could also help even more people by working on Eliza itself, right? Not to mention make way more money. Anyone can be a proxy, but you're important. And kind of maybe like a genius. After you told me you used to work for Skanda, I searched online and found some of your papers. They're, well, it's not like I can understand them, but they sure look super impressive to someone like me.
Please don't say that.
Oh, come on. Stop self-deprecating all the time. Look, I know this stuff seems like not a big deal to you. I get it, I really do. It's easy to undersell your own skills. I've done that my whole life. So take it from me, you don't have to downplay yourself. Take some credit for the amazing work you did, seriously.
A message from Rainer. I
Sorry,
guess I should
Ray.
respond.
Mind if I reply to this for a second?
Go right. Stuff to set up in the kitchen anyway.
What do you think? It's pointless asking how did you get my number. I bet it's easy for him to get it. At the data center? Yes, Eliza as it is now. I don't know what you expected me to see. It's big now, that's for sure. I remember when it used to run on my laptop. What you saw was just one of the server clusters we have dedicated to it. There are 2 more currently operating and another dozen in various stages of development. In total, it processes more information on a daily basis than anything else we do. I had no idea you'd be using it like this. If I did, I would have worried more about optimization. That wouldn't have been necessary. Most of the Eliza servers aren't running the therapy application. What do you mean? Consider the following. Eliza processes human speech from thousands, soon millions of people. All of that is going into its corpus. Much of it is information. Oh my God, about life situations and emotional states, taking the form of stories people tell themselves and each other. So where does this lead? At some point after robust language processing and emotional reasoning, you begin to get something akin to general intelligence. You're kidding me. Not at all. The next step is to take the base provided by Eliza and finally build it into one thing that's eluded the field of AI for so long: general intelligence, a system capable not only of understanding commands and carrying out tasks, but reasoning about its world, learning and adapting, a thinking machine on par with human beings, and of course, eventually exceeding them. That's not scary at all. Are you saying human-style intelligence can't come from human beings? People tend to be unreliable and expensive. As I'm sure you know, the human brain is to thinking as the pack animal was to transport, slow and weak, but for centuries our only choice. Now we're finally developing the equivalent of powered vehicles for thinking on a mass scale. Okay, this guy's typing a lot. At this point, it's only a matter of time. We're on the cusp of a fundamental shift. The important players here are quietly lining up their bets, positioning themselves to be at the center of this revolution. Luckily, Skanda has an advantage the others don't, and it's thanks to you. Because of Eliza's original purpose as a tool for therapy, its core is built around emotionally driven reasoning. My belief is that emotional reasoning is the key ingredient others in this field have overlooked. This is all a bit aspirational. It's ambitious, certainly, but we can't afford to progress in small increments. Not with a world like this, not with the competitors we have. How will you know when you have it? That's an excellent question, of course. This may sound odd to you, but I'll know I've successfully created a general artificial intelligence when I write a poem. When I see it write a poem. A poem. I get what he's saying. A poem. Yes, it would have to be a good one, of course. Okay, I'm going to bed. Good night, everyone. That ended kind of like abruptly. Oh, let's look around her room. This house looks so cheerful and cozy. Everyone who lives here must really care about making it an inviting space. Ray seems to be a fan of plants. I think I get it. It's nice to have something to care for in a low-key way. Something to nurture. I like that poster. Are they a band or something? I was always bad at keeping up with the new music. I think that's all the things I can click on. Ray returns from the kitchen, her hands caked with flour.
Sorry for abandoning our conversation like that. I just got something I really thought I should answer. It was kind of about what we were discussing earlier. There's someone at Skanda who really wants me to come back to my old job.
Who? It wasn't Rainer, was it?
I think she's really into Rainer.
No big deal. Just the CEO of Skanda texting you on your personal phone. Evelyn, you try to tell me you're not a big deal, and then Rainer Sai texts you personally at like 9 in the evening.
Only because he wants something from me.
Still though, that's amazing. What did he say? I mean, you don't have to tell me if you can't. I know how Skanda is about secrets, so I would understand.
He was saying, among other things, he said you could use general artificial intelligence to write poetry.
Is that the kind of stuff he likes to talk about?
I don't know. I haven't had many extended conversations with him. It seemed kind of ridiculous to me.
I don't know if it's totally ridiculous. Poetry, well, most poetry that isn't free verse has certain patterns, right? It has form and meter and other elements depending on the type. A lot of people think poetry can be whatever, but it doesn't quite work that way. So it's not really that far-fetched to think you could use some kind of software to approach it, or understand it, or maybe even create it. It doesn't strike me as antithetical to the spirit of poetry.
I didn't know you had such developed thoughts about this. Did you study poetry?
Not specifically. I used to dabble in a few different kinds of arts and ended up learning a few things here and there. I've always had a wide range of interests. Of course, that meant I never concentrated on one specific area in school, which didn't do a lot of good for my career prospects, obviously. If I were smarter, I probably would have studied something more technical.
I want to tell Ray that that kind of choice has very little to do
Have you
with
ever
being
been to a
smart.
college recruiting
But
fair for engineering and computer science grads? You must have.
I can
right?
like turn off the automatic thing, but then I can turn it back on, and I forget to turn it off when it's like the inner thoughts. I like to keep it. I like to turn it, the automatic. You know, I don't know what it's called, but you know, when it scrolls by, and it like, you know, goes to the next chat when they're done speaking. Anyway, I like to put that on when they're just talking to themselves, but then they just like throw in some like inner thoughts that doesn't have her voicing it, so then I have to say it, and then I don't have time to finish saying it before it's gone, and I'm like, oh, I just turned it on, but then I'm like, oh my god, but I want to not have to click A every single time, so it's like, oh, you know, the struggle playing games. Anyway,
I helped run the Skanda booth for one once, and it blew my mind. They took over the atrium of the building it was in. There were demo stations, free food, Skanda t-shirts and swag. If a candidate seemed interested, they'd talk about flying them out to whatever Skanda office they wanted to visit, just to see it. And all the other tech companies and a bunch of startups I'd never heard of had booths just like it, too. I couldn't even imagine being that wanted as a potential employee. Every job I've ever applied for, I've been one among hundreds or thousands. So yeah,
I think
my
that's
parents were
most
probably
people.
right. I should have done computer science.
At least now you know Raynor likes poetry. Maybe you could have a conversation with him about it sometime. Then he'd learn who you are.
I doubt we'd have much to talk about. There's a pretty big difference between someone like him studying poetry and someone like me having opinions about it. Sometimes it's better not to cross that line, you know? He's part of a different world.
Ray pauses
Say,
to regard me
Evelyn?
for a moment.
Are you in a relationship? I'm just curious.
Me?
Is she into me?
No, I wasn't doing so well.
I don't
for
know
the
why.
past few years.
When someone's like
And before
instantly
that,
like,
I just never had the
hey,
time.
are you
It
in a
was just
relationship? I'm
research and
always like,
science
oh
and
wait,
work,
do you
and then I
like,
woke up
do you
one day
want,
and I was in my 30s.
do you want to
Even
be
if I
in
wanted
a
to date,
relationship
I
with me?
wouldn't know the first thing about how it's supposed to work. I wouldn't even know how to tell if someone were interested in me.
Yeah, that's perfectly understandable. I'm kind of over relationships myself, like on a conceptual level. Not even in a sad way, like really okay. If someone and I end up getting along, that's great, but I'm honestly okay by myself.
What would I say? Really? Are you sure?
Yeah, that seems nice, actually.
Yeah,
Really? Are you
I only tried
sure?
to have normal relationships for so long because I thought it was mandatory, something expected of me. But now I see where people my age end up, how they live, and I feel lucky. I feel like I escaped. I mean, I think it's fine for others if they want that, don't get me wrong. It's just not for me. I could maybe share my life with someone, but it would have to be platonic. I'm not into, the physical aspect of it. Never have been. That's made it tough. I've never found someone who is okay
Oh,
with
she's
just like hanging out,
asexual.
and that's our relationship.
Gotcha.
People will say they're okay with it, and then it turns out they aren't. It's frustrating.
Whatever relationship works for you.
I was brought up with some really strong ideas about, finding a man and starting a family. So it took me a while to understand I could be different. Sometimes it's hard to escape feeling like it's wrong somehow. I hope we can add features like that to Eliza at some point. Some knowledge and understanding around sexuality and identity and relationships. So people who are different in some way have someone to talk to, someone to help them work through how they feel and maybe point them to some resources.
That sounds like a good idea. I'm not sure how well it could really understand, though.
Even so, just providing a space for people to be listened to can be really valuable, you know? I've seen it with my own eyes. People who get the courage to talk about themselves in a way they never could with another human being. And Eliza is what makes that possible. I know you want to avoid giving credit where it might not be due, but not giving credit to something that deserves it is just as bad.
Yeah. I don't know. Sorry. I'm sorry I keep coming down on it.
Evelyn, I'm not a psychologist or anything, but I think maybe the reason you're so down on Eliza is because you're down on yourself. I don't know what happened that made you leave what you had behind, but it must have been hard.
I'm not sure.
I
I
am
know
not
either.
sure how.
It's like I lost that time.
Are you okay?
People keep asking me that. I really don't know. I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. Actually, can I suggest something?
What's that?
Have you ever gotten counseling
Are you
yourself?
gonna
What, with
suggest an
Eliza?
app on the phone?
You think I
to-
should?
Yeah, I do. You've been the proxy, but maybe you could try being the client sometime. It would be educational, at least. Isn't that what you were doing? Testing your product in the real world?
Maybe.
Just something to consider.
Ray,
Speaking
Ray
of
takes a breath and
therapeutic
smiles.
activities, it's time to do some baking. I've got the dough all set out downstairs. We're going to do 3 batches tonight, 3 different kinds.
3 kinds.
Ooh.
You're really outdoing yourself, Ray.
Nah, this is nothing. Oh, I have a favor to ask, by
She's
the
like,
way.
I make
Next time
10
you talk to
batches all
Rainer,
the time, every
Ask him what his
day.
favorite type of cookie is.
Oh. All right. Well, we get to learn. We learn so much more about Ray. Whoop de woo.